What is going on, guys? It is your boy TKD1 back in here on PlayStation Source here on episode 26.
Yes.
I think, I hope, pretty sure it's 26 of Road to Part 2, the hopefully weekly, sometimes semi-weekly Last of Us podcast here on PlayStation Source, leading up to Last of Us Part 2. And with me, of course, the new co-host that we introduced in episode 25, the Arachknight. I'm gonna call you Arachknight.
That's fine.
It's hot. It's hot. I like it. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I see on Discord you got a little Sanic on your Discord, Abby. I like that. Have you seen the movie yet?
I saw it opening night.
Damn, opening night. My boy out here. Okay.
Yeah, I love Sonic.
Me and the boys have been debating on if we're gonna see it, and I'm on team I want to see it. I have some in the group that are like, I'm not sure. I'm like, guys, I mean, look, it's getting okay reviews, so it can't be horrible. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm biased. Like, Sonic. Like, I love Sonic. Like, I know I've talked about like games like Doom and Last of Us Part 2 and like games like with heavy stories, but it's like, I love Sonic. Like, right. I've read the comics since like the Archie days in the early 90s. I've played every single one of the games, even the ones that are in Japan using like emulators. Like, I love Sonic. So I'm biased, but I thought the movie was fire.
Right. I mean, my Sonic background is super limited. I used to have a Sonic plush toy as a kid that I always carried around with me. I had that homie. I also on my, I'm trying to remember what's the name of it. The iPod. What was the like square looking iPod? Was the
Nano?
Was that called an iPod Nano? Was it really?
Like the really small one?
Yeah. Like it was like a square, and it did have the track wheel on it.
Yeah, I think that was the Nano.
All right. Well, on my iPod Nano, I did have a Sonic game on that, which, in hindsight, looking back, it's like I'm shocked that it could run a Sonic game.
Right.
But it was an old school Sonic game. I forget the name of it, but it was one of the like iconic ones, like back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
It's probably like Sonic 1.
Probably. But there's of course Green Hill Zone. You know.
Oh yeah, that's Sonic 1.
Of course. So, that's the extent of my Sonic background.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I guess you were pretty excited to hear the PS Plus games this month. I mean, for March.
Oh yeah,
2020.
Forces. Like, I already have Forces. Like, I already played through it. I got it on Xbox. Like,
no, I'm playing.
No, I got it on Xbox just because like somebody was like reselling it for like half the price at the time. It's like, sure.
Nice.
And I already got like the 100% on it, so I'll still play it again on using the free games for this month.
Think you'll get the platinum? Or
it was an easy 100% to get. So like, depending if I have the time, because right now I'm playing through like I'm playing through all the DMC games.
Nice.
I'm playing through God of War again.
Nice. God of War 2018 or like
2018.
Gotcha. Very very good.
I'm replaying Doom again.
Again. Shout out to dude. We're so close to Doom, bro.
We're so close to a lot of things.
We're so close. We're close to. I mean, for me, on Switch, we're close to Animal Crossing. Don't know if you're a big fan of Animal Crossing, but
never played.
My god, I literally cannot wait. Animal Crossing is the perfect like absolute relaxation game. Like 110%. Like that is the purpose of Animal Crossing. It is 100% just if you like to like upkeep on like small little tasks and just chill out. Animal Crossing is your game. So I can't wait for that on Switch. I've been playing. I finished Uncharted 2 on stream yesterday.
Ooh, I saw that. Yeah.
For my birthday, shout out to that. And I felt like it was very not like symbolic, but satisfying to play one of my favorite Uncharted. I mean, I still have yet to play Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. We'll get to those on the stream, series. We're starting Uncharted 3, I think, here pretty soon. But like, if you were to ask me before this streaming series that I've been doing, what's my favorite Uncharted, I have always said Uncharted 2. And Uncharted 2 definitely does still hold up. Like, it is still a phenomenal story.
Yeah, I still love it.
It's great. Like the like pace of that game is great, and I mean probably like one of my favorite parts of that game, is the ending. You know, with Nate and Elena like doing that little banter, and like Elena's like, all right, how scared were you that I was gonna die on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever, and like Nate's like, 4.
Yeah.
She's like, a 4? Okay, maybe a 5. And then Nathan's saying like clowns is a 10. Like Uncharted 2 is great. Uncharted 2 is great. But I've also been playing.
4 is my favorite.
4. I have a feeling that 4 is gonna end up being my top after it was all said and done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have to see. I don't even know. But I feel like Uncharted 4 might take the top spot. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I keep cutting you off.
Good. No, I keep cutting you off. That's my fault.
Hold
The
on.
only reason I say Uncharted 4 is my favorite because those two are just phenomenal. Like both of them. Like all the Uncharted games are very, very good. But it's
Absolutely.
like 2 and 4 go neck and neck, and I couldn't decide for the longest time until I replayed all 4 games. And the reason I say that 4 is my favorite is because Uncharted 2 has this one chapter that I always don't like going through, and that was the ice cavern with Jensen.
Oh, with is it Tenzin or Jensen?
Tenzin.
Yeah. That platforming was a little bit annoying. I didn't find that much struggle with it. I just found with Uncharted 2, like there were a lot of like instances where like the Guardians in Shambhala, those motherfuckers are hard as shit. All right.
Yeah.
Those are tough. Like even on normal, I was like, yo, this is like legitimately difficult. You know,
It's the worst on brutal. Like I
bet,
played through all
bro.
4 games on brutal.
I don't even want to think about brutal, bro.
2 shots and you're down. 2 shots.
Yeah, no, I bet, bro. I bet. Oh my god, bro. I swear. But
Yeah.
shout out Uncharted 2. And I've also been playing a little game, called The Division 2.
Ooh.
I've been extremely hooked on that. I got hooked on that last year when it came out for about a month and a half. And typically how I do open world games is that I just beat the Golden Path, the mainline story, and maybe do some side stuff, but not too much. You know what I'm saying? Because I saved the side stuff for later if I want to come back to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm doing right now as they announce the Warlords of New York expansions coming out on March 3rd, I believe. So I've been trucking through that. I've been trying to find the Coney Island stuff. I'm going to keep it honest. I might have to look it up and search it up because I don't know how to access the Coney Island stuff. I don't know if like the Coney Island stuff comes to the map when you beat the other phases of the updates and stuff like that. I got to look more into that. But I've been having a lot of fun with Division 2. It's a great game. It's satisfying. We talked about that a little bit here before we started recording. But to me, it's like the perfect like podcast game. You know what I'm saying? Like It's a perfect like, hey, I got a few podcasts on the backlog I want to get through, or I'm waiting for something to upload, or something's rendering right now, so I can't use my computer that heavily. I'll just pop on Division 2 and do a control point, complete one of the missions. Right now I'm clearing out, I forgot what it's called. Black Tusk? Is that what it's called?
Maybe.
Black Tusk?
Maybe.
I think that's what it's called. So I'm doing those Black Tusk missions, and it's been fun. It's been great. Absolutely.
Like, for open world games, I'm like using The Witcher 3 as an example. It takes me forever to get on the golden path. Forever.
So you're one of those players.
I do everything you can possibly do. Like New Vegas, Outer Worlds. I did like my first playthrough took like 2-3 times as long compared to some of my friends' playthroughs because they just stick to the story, and that's like there's nothing wrong with that. But I always do every side mission before I'd go onto the main story. Like my first playthrough of The Witcher, not counting the DLCs, took me I think 90 hours. And then I did Heart and Stone and Blood and Wine, and those added like another 50 hours because I just explored and like took pictures and stuff like that. And it took me it was like 140 150 hour experience for everything for The Witcher 3. Mass Effect. My first playthrough of Mass Effect 1 took me, I think, like 50 hours.
I see. So you're like one of those that does every side thing before even getting on the main path. I feel that.
Breath of the Wild was rough.
Breath of the Wild. I wish that game grabbed me, but I don't know what it is. It just didn't. It didn't. I was like 2 hours in. I was like, I think I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Oh well, maybe someday. But someday we will definitely get to play The Last of Us Part 2. Of course, Road to Part 2 podcast is about, of course, Last of Us, leading up to the release of Last of Us Part 2. We did have some, we have some interesting things to discuss here this episode. You know what I'm saying? The first step here is that I believe this was just on Twitter. I'm not sure if this came in a conversation or it was just out of the blue, but we had Anthony Newman, who is the game's co-director, come out and he had a very just bold tweet he had to tweet out. Like it was one of those like, hey, this is a statement and that's it. That's the tweet.
Right. You
can continue on scrolling on your timeline. So he said here, quote, "We bout to redefine AAA in 2020." And then he did the shrug type of emoticon type things. Again, links to everything that we discussed down below in the description. So I want to kind of talk about this because I would have, I don't know, because I know I've been on the record saying that, I felt that the industry changed when Last of Us came out, in like a lot of different ways. Like I feel like we would not have gotten like God of War 2018 or, anything of that same ilk if it not been for Last of Us. So I just want to know,
Agreed.
How do you just knee jerk reaction? How do you feel about this post?
He is absolutely correct.
Honestly, I have a feeling that he is right too, man. I got a feeling.
Just watching those reload animations or like those gun customization animations, like that's fire. Just that. You could have just showed me that. That's like yo.
That's honestly like a really good point because like I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah, you're good.
You could have easily put that in like a traditional menu system and like equip and unequip type deal, like what every other game has. But to animate Ellie to be able to do these and like it look like in game and not really look like a menu, and you're gonna take that much detail on just that aspect of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It's a lot.
Like we last week we talked about Naughty Dog's ability to tell a compelling story, just like their like innate ability to just like get you immersed and involved with these characters in just a few short hours. Like even just the hook of Last of Us Part 1, it just like the intro.
Mm-hmm.
I was in. I was doubled down. I was in for the ride.
10 toes the fuck down. I'm doubling down. What was that? What was that meme? It was it Common? He goes, "Hear me and hear me good. I hear the double down." That's a 2-pack of ass. That shit. Oh man! Shout out to Common.
Yeah, shout out. But it's like, I like if I had to place bets on any company to change the game, it's Naughty Dog.
Absolutely.
You give them a task and they will exceed every expectation.
I am biased. I'm gonna have to agree with that statement. What? Now, I did a bets episode with Starks. Do you think we should do bets? Should we?
Yeah.
Should we? You know what? We will have that in the pipeline. We will do that soon. But I want to ask something about that has something to do with that. I'm just gonna ask you. Forget it. What? Okay. What do you see the Metacritic as? Like, what do you see the reception with Part 2? Like, do you think there could be a future where like Part 2 not necessarily underwhelms but doesn't live up to the hype of Part 1? Like, do you think it's possible for part 2 to be as critically acclaimed and as looked upon, in a light standpoint as the first Last of Us? Or do you think it's just like an unattainable goal? You know what I'm saying?
Well, the public has been like, when it comes to hype and it comes to like excitement towards a game, we have been let down in the last 5 years of game releases. Like the most notable examples, like No Man's Sky. Like they've done an amazing job now, and I'm so very impressed with them how they brought it back. But like at the beginning of its release, it's like it was underwhelming and it was disappointing. We had Mass Effect Andromeda. We've had the Assassin's Creed games, other than Odyssey. I'm gonna be real. Like I don't like Assassin's Creed, but that's my bias. But like we have underwhelming releases. Like and we, I feel like as a public, as people that are invested in games, game development, and just the world of playing these stories and going through these stories, like we are a lot more careful with what we do and what we put our expectations in. However, like Naughty Dog would not have delayed the game for no reason. Like they did that for a reason, because they wanted to hold up to that standard of quality that we are expected to. Like we're like, they promised us something remarkable,
Right.
and they wanted to ensure that we got what they promised, so they delayed it. And I felt like that was the right decision. And I feel like the Metacritic score will be a 95 or higher.
95 or higher. I forgot what it is for. You know what? Let me look up the Last of Us Metacritic.
Uncharted 4 has like a 93, I believe.
93 for Uncharted 4.
Yes.
I can put that there. Let me see. Last of Us on PS4, the Metacritic, I think just looking at it is not. Yep. Okay, so it's 95 on Metacritic for Last of Us Remastered, and I think it's the same score for PS3 as well, I believe. Let me do a quick search, because I just want to get some Last of Us. Why won't they show me the PS3 one? Oh my goodness. All right, let me see. PS3, yep, is at 95 as well.
Yes.
Just 95 is a really high score, man. I mean, I could see part 2 getting like slightly lower than the first one, because like I don't know, man. Like there's a clear difference between like Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 4, right?
Right.
And even Uncharted 2, like Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 is a huge step up, like a really, really big jump, step up. So are we going to see like a step up of that caliber of like Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 2 from Last of Us to Last of Us Part 2? Or are we going to get something like a Uncharted 2 to Uncharted 3 where there will definitely, I feel like, be a crowd of people that, like Part 2 more than Part 1? And objectively speaking, like maybe Part 2 will be better than Uncharted 1 in terms of like how the game plays and stuff like that, and different mechanics overall in the game. So there could be an objective standpoint to that, and likely there will be an objective like, all right, this is why Part 2 is better than Part 1. But I think I'm more on the end of like it could be an Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3 scenario where some people will die on the hill for Uncharted 3, while some other people will die on the hill for Uncharted 2. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm leaning more towards that standpoint. I think like Part 1 and Part 2 are going to be looked at in a similar vein, but I think there will be that crowd of people that still holds Part 1, dearly to themselves, like just because that's where the story began and how impactful, the first Last of Us was. But like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't even want to look at the bet I did with Starks to see what the Metacritic was, but I think I said like a 93. I think. I'm not sure.
The reason I stand by my statement is because The Last of Us was a new IP
Right.
back when it first released. Like Naughty Dog was known for Crash Bandicoot and Uncharted. Like those were their main flagship series. Like what people like when you say Naughty Dog, they think Crash or Uncharted. At least that's what I thought whenever somebody mentioned the company to me.
Right.
But you have this investment that you didn't have and you couldn't have before with The Last of Us because it's been sitting with us for years. It'd almost be 7 years between part 1 to part 2. You have this investment that you couldn't have possibly had before, and now people have their own way of expressing what The Last of Us means to them. Like you have people like us, like people that we talk about the game. We have like you started a whole podcast for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole thing that you and I are doing right now is just because we have a passion for one game. One.
Yeah.
Like and it's not just us, it's hundreds of thousands of people because they draw fan art, they write their own stories in the world of The Last of Us, they play the game, they talk about it. It's still being talked about whenever you think of an achievement in the last generation of consoles.
Yeah.
So you have this investment that people have been building up and an excitement towards a character that we've all grown to like, that has become endearing to us. Ellie. We saw her in Left Behind, we saw her in the beginning of The Last of Us to the end of The Last of Us, and now we're seeing her become a woman, like to see her in her own role being the protagonist of her story, the continuation of this story that we've seen like be built up and be expanded upon by Naughty Dog and by the fans. So no matter of your stance on hype or where you think it'll like land in terms of quality, I believe firmly that part 2 will be emotionally, like, for lack of a better phrase, cathartic. Because it's been 7 years. Like I know I am dying to see what they do with Joel and Ellie because I care about these characters. I'm interested to see where they go as people, not just gameplay and all that, but like I want to see what they do and how the story around them progresses.
Yeah.
So I feel just like in an emotional standpoint that part 2 will be much more heavy hitting than part 1. Yeah. Not because part 1's incapability of it, but of the natural progression of human investment after this amount of time.
Right. Very, very well said. Very, very well said, my good sir. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I mean, like there, I compliment you on how you so phonetically talked, and I can't even talk to save my own ass. But we've talked about before. I just cannot wait to like see like obviously a lot of people this is what they're looking for, but I need to see Joel and Ellie in part 2. Like what is that dynamic like? Is there hatred? Does Ellie know that he lied to her? I gotta know all of it, you know what I'm saying? But it looks like we may also get that story told through us in a lot of different environments. So sometimes, you know, in games, we get some concept art that releases, and concept art is purely in the pre-production stage and like the storyboarding stage where they're kind of setting the tone and setting like the overall like ambiance and visual direction that they want to go for in a given point in a game, right? So that's like the point of concept art. It's not that like every concept art makes it into the game. We have had plenty of other instances where, you know, games have concept art and none of it makes it into the game and stuff like that. But sometimes, you know, I'd say more often than not, they do end up in there as that's like the main direction for the art and different stuff like that. So we did get some Last of Us Part 2 concept art that came to us honestly a few months ago. It was November 22nd, 2019, and we're just getting to it. So hate to see it. Hate to see it took us this long. But this is of course, via IGN, and I just wanted to go through each picture in order. So first, we will do the like blue looking Ellie's aiming her gun somewhere in the woods. It says Cherry Street, I believe, on the sign, and then we'll go from there. There's 4 different pictures. I'll have them up on screen as well. So this one, it looks like it's from I think that's in Washington. I think that's what this is depicting, which we've gotten some gameplay about when they unveiled some gameplay. I think it was around October, I think, when they announced a release date for that state of play and people got hands-on for Last of Us Part 2.
Right.
It looks nice. I do like it.
Mm-hmm. It's like, if it were a bit higher quality, like, that's wallpaper material.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And then looking over the next one, I'm not sure where this one's at, actually. Like, this one doesn't seem like Washington. Maybe it is. Like, maybe it's just like the first one is like the suburbs area, and then maybe to get to the suburbs you have to cross through like the main city of Washington and like the downtown area. But this is definitely like reminiscent of Last of Us Part 1. Where you're I believe, I'm trying to remember where you're at. I think in Boston, right?
Yes, you're in Boston.
Yeah. So it reminds me of like the Boston level from Last of Us 1. You see Ellie on her horse. So good. So good. You know?
Like, I don't know why it reminds me of California.
Of California?
Yeah, a little bit. Like,
it looks too green.
Well, it's also been 30 years since the infection happened, and nature always finds a way.
Right.
So
I guess, wow, I'm such an idiot for saying that. That's a really good point. Like, it's 25 years since like the modern civilization. Like, of course, there would be more green in a given area, but
right.
I was thinking, like, I guess from like a climate standpoint, like, I don't know if you, because there's even like pine trees and stuff like that in the distance. So like, I don't know if, I mean, Northern California would have that, to be fair. So maybe it is.
No, the pine tree is like, with that detail. That was a good detail. I didn't notice that. It's just like, maybe it's somewhere a little more northern.
Right.
Because we'll get to some of the other screenshots, but we did talk about this earlier about where she's traveling and the power lines and where that reminds us of. That's why I was like leaning towards somewhere like California-esque.
Right. I mean, why? I mean, but that's the 4th one. Okay, so the 3rd one, before we get to the really intriguing one that both caught our eyes, we have been hearing that they have had a dog in mocap at Naughty Dog Studios, right? So we're thinking that Ellie will have, or there will be some sort of animal that will be a part of the gameplay or the story in some shape, form, or fashion. And I think this may be our first look at the concepts of that, coming to fruition, like Ellie and this dog. And it looks like a very beautiful, like, painting-esque thing. Like, this could definitely go up on a wall. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like a nice frame. That is a beautiful image. But is the dog injured on its left paw? Oh man.
Yes.
Puppy.
Something that I've noticed, like 2 things I like noticed. Like, one is the injury, and 2, Ellie looks younger than the other art and images that we've seen. So maybe there will be a progression of time. It won't just be a time jump, and then we'll just move on to Last of Us between Part 1 and Part 2. Because her facial features look much younger than she originally does. But her hair is also longer, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a painting, right? Just to take that into account. But, like, I mean, that's a interesting point, too. Like maybe, and she seems to be looking at some sort of map or something of that ilk, but that is a good point. I mean, maybe this takes place in like some hypothetical, like not epilogue, but like before the game.
Prologue?
What?
Prologue?
Prologue? Is prologue before?
Yes.
I'm an idiot. Well, in some sort of prologue before you get into the main bulk of the game, you know what I'm saying? Like in a similar vein where we had a prologue for Part 1, with Joel being a lot younger and his daughter Sarah and different stuff like that. So maybe this is where we see this dog. I don't know. It's a good point. It's a very good point. And the last one here is what really got us talking. I was like, oof, we got to include this, right? So you can see we have a nice looking sunset or sunrise. I can't tell which, direction we're facing, west or east, but I'm going to say sunset because you can kind of tell here. Well, let me just prep this, right? So me and the homie Arachknight here are from Phoenix, Arizona. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here, and I believe you were born here, right? Question mark?
No. We talked about that at work. Like,
I'm an idiot.
When we first met. Yeah, we were both born in New York.
I'm an idiot. God, I am so off my game today. But yeah, you're
good. You're good.
Yeah, we're both from the east side, but we were raised over here in Phoenix, Arizona, and with those mountains and those power lines and the way that sunset looks here in Arizona, look, you can tell an Arizona sunset. Right. It's a very distinct look when it's up against the mountains and stuff like that. And the way the mountain kind of changes a different color to your eye when it's at a distance and the light is behind it, like that's why I'm more leaning on like, all right, that's definitely a sunset. 100%, and these power lines, of course, if you want to, drive to California, right? I forgot which highway you got to take, but the highway that you take, there are these power lines at some point on the drive there. It is for like maybe like a 20-minute stretch of like highway road where all you see is these power lines, right?
Right.
So that's where we're thinking this is taking place, which is cool. Because Arizona doesn't get a lot of credit in games. There was Arizona Sunshine on PSVR, a shout out to that. But typically you don't see, Arizona as a setting. You might see the desert as a setting, but not necessarily Arizona. But this definitely looks like Arizona,
Yeah, that is an Arizona, like California highway.
100%. And take into account that, like, in part one, you were on this long, like, road trip-esque type of journey throughout the whole game. Maybe we're doing a similar thing here in part two. But instead of traversing through the East Coast, and like more towards the center of America, we're gonna head more towards the West Coast, and maybe we might see the other side of the country, which I cannot wait for. If it's
something I've noticed about these kinds of apocalyptic survival games, like these story heavy ones, at least, like the first one that comes notable to mind is Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. That one was very road trip based as well.
Right.
Because you needed to get to Savannah for Clementine. And, like, it just seems like the best way to tell a narrative story and to show world building and to, like, elaborate on world building in an apocalyptic setting is a road trip.
Right.
Which I'm totally here for. Like, I think it's very, very clever because it shows a greater depth in both a story aspect and on a technological aspect on what you can accomplish. Because for Last of Us, we saw a bunch of different environments that Naughty Dog like made using like just the PS3. Like, and at the time, everything looked stunning. It still holds up very, very well. But, technology progresses. But at the time, it was stunning to see all of these varying environments and how light affects those environments differently, which is why I'm really excited to see if they're traveling near Arizona, how they'll do the sunset. Because if you're in Arizona, there's going to be a sunset.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, they're going to put a sunset. And I cannot wait to see what they do with it.
My like biggest thing I want to see is that like we saw a ton of like how the world looked 20 years after the fall of society in The Last of Us, right? Like I want to see how does California look, like how did LA shape up, what I'm saying? Like I doubt we'll go into the actual Phoenix city. I mean maybe, but I feel like that's a little bit less likely because like I feel like overall with like Phoenix there's not really any like iconic things in Phoenix necessarily from like a worldwide standpoint. The only
We
thing
got
I feel
Chase
like,
Field.
I mean, shout out to Chase Field, but like I feel like, well, like I feel like, you know, if you're gonna go to an iconic location in Arizona, you'll probably go to like Sedona. I think that's a
Grand
little bit
Canyon.
more iconic, or the Grand Canyon, exactly. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if there's anything of note in Phoenix that like is like a worldwide known thing. Like LA, you got the Staples Center, you have plenty of other different theaters and like different places in LA that are iconic. Same thing with New York. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I doubt that we'll go into the actual city of Phoenix, but
Right.
no doubt this is Arizona, 100%.
Yes.
I would like to see the
Like-
Grand Canyon though. I think
Yeah.
that one's a notable one that you can do. It's pretty easy. Is
It's just tying it in.
yeah. Is Sedona well known? I don't know if
Um,
Sedona's well known in Arizona. I mean, for like
Not
a worldwide
not
standpoint.
well enough. Not well enough. Like
Yeah.
I don't believe like because Sedona is emotionally tied to us because we live here.
Right.
Like it's like we think it's notable and we think it's beautiful because we live here.
Yeah.
However, if you ask me to tell you one beautiful notable thing in like Wisconsin, I could not.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
Absolutely.
I don't feel like we are well enough known for someone who's like, oh yeah, let's go to Sedona.
Yeah.
Like Grand Canyon, because it's one of the wonders of the world. Like everybody
Yeah.
knows about it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It is one of the ones. Look, would you look at that? Shout
Yo, look at us.
out. Who would have thought?
Arizona's got something. Yeah,
Damn.
not me.
Who would have thought? I mean, I would
Uh,
personally like to see Sedona. Even though I don't think we. Well, there's a slight chance we will, but I don't really think so. If those
Yeah.
are unaware, I would implore you to Google Sedona, Arizona. But if you're not wanting to, it's all good. I'll tell you, it's essentially a bunch of mountains and like a bunch of rocks and everything, but it's all red. Like it's pitch red rock, and it's beautiful. And there's like a bunch of different views in there. And there's also like lore about the city about I believe its magnetic poles are different. So it's been said that if you spend a lot of time there, you'll experience a lot of physical and emotional healing when you're in Sedona. And like a lot of people have claimed that to be true. That's neither here nor there. That's, you know, totally something that like it's been proven scientifically that there are different like magnetic polarities going on in Sedona, but it hasn't been tied to anything like that it'll actually heal you. You know, that's
Like,
just stories
yeah.
that have been told. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you're looking for healing, we got you.
absolutely. But I almost needed some healing after this update on Twitter. So
Ooh.
of
Ooh.
course, you know, if y'all watched episode 25, I love this. And yes, this is a segment. All right, it's called the Chelsea Watch. All right. So we talked about episode 25, how there was a new character that got unveiled. The actress that's playing her is Chelsea Tavares. However, she did not say who she's playing or what role she'll be playing as, you know, in the Last of Us Part 2. And so I have been asking her on Twitter every chance I get, and I did this week as well. She posted a nice picture of her in some sort of dressing room, I believe. You know, she said I should have bought this little Nana nightgown when I had the chance. You know what I'm saying? How about this, Chelsea? You come on the show, I will buy that nightgown for you. It's all good. Baby
She's
girl,
an actress. Like, that's probably expensive.
listen, credit cards are for that reason. You know what I'm saying? Look, baby girl,
bro.
I
Bro.
got you. This show has a budget, but I will expend that budget for this nightgown, right? But you know, she posted that, so I did my usual you know reply. So I said, but who are you in T-Lu 2 though? You know what I'm saying? And I did it one time before this, got no reply, but I'm glad I got a reply this time. You know what I'm saying? I do have to, because I don't want to anger her. You know what I'm saying? I definitely got to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to be as like, you know, as not annoying as possible, but I am shooting every shot I can take. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So she replies in the quote tweet by saying once again, gotta wait and play the game with a smiley face. So that's that. Who knows if I'll ever get her on the show? You know what I'm saying? Right now, Orly, like looking at all this, right?
Yes.
I got a second reply. I mean, I honestly, I know we made this joke already in this podcast, but who would have thought? Because definitely not me. Definitely not me. You know what I'm saying? But hey, I mean, yo, I got to listen. She has to at least know the @ and the Cozy King name on my TKD123. Like she has to know me, right. At least from Twitter. You know what I'm saying? And I've plugged the podcast, so she has to at least know. Listen, if by some ungodly reason, right? If she watches this podcast, look, I will buy you the nightgown, and like I don't know what else I can offer you, but I'm up to be suggested on what I can compensate you. You know what I'm saying?
We can negotiate.
We can what?
Like negotiate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would say dinner, but I mean, look, you seem like a bit of a high profile actress. I'm not sure where I could afford to take you, but hey, babe, you know,
Stone and Barrel. We got 30% off.
Yo, 30% off. If I clock in, it's 50% off. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, but yeah. So that's that. That's a nice little update from the Chelsea Tavares segment. Will she come on the podcast? You know, I don't know. You know, but hey, we're getting ever so closer. You know what I'm saying? Getting ever so closer. And I think that's gonna round out this episode. You know what I'm saying? I mean, unless you have any suggestions or like, do you have anything else to add to the conversation? Anything to the Chelsea Tavares update? Anything of that ilk?
Well, like nothing that comes to mind immediately. It's just like as the time, like we're basically into March.
Basically,
like,
yeah.
On Sunday it'll be March 1st, and then the clock starts ticking. Like that. This I feel like we're about to enter the time frame because we just recently passed like where Last of Us Part 2 would have originally released.
Now, I want you to take a minute here, right?
Right.
There's a future out there in the multiverse. There's a future out there where Last of Us Part 2 never got delayed, and we're sitting here talking about this, and we're talking about Last of Us Part 2 in our first impressions.
Right.
God damn.
I would have called out of work. Like.
Oh, I plan to.
Oh, I plan to as well. I already requested the day off.
Dude, man. Oof, man. That's just.
I got Doom Eternal off. I got Last of Us Part 2 out. When we get closer, I'm gonna request Cyberpunk off. We got it. We here.
I woke up February 21st, last Thursday. You know,
right.
I was having a nice day. You know, I was chilling. Right. I was starting my coffee. I was uploading, you know, some different things and stuff like that. And it was none other than Christian Buckley, the main host of course, Joy Clicks Gamescast. I'm a co-host on that as well. He texted me that morning saying, "Man, we would have been playing Last of Us Part 2 right now if it had been delayed." And I gotta tell you, that really ruined my whole day. I was like, man,
it's a sinking feeling.
You really hate to see that, you know what I'm saying? But oh well, May 29th is a bit far away, but of course we got Road to Part 2 to keep you covered and keep you hype on all things Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. This has been Road to Part 2 episode number 26. Of course, check out the Arachknight. Arachknight, where can people find you?
You can find me at my Twitter. My Twitter is Orly_Macias. You can find that in the description. I talk about, you know, just I just retweet comic book stuff. If you like Daredevil and Spider-Man, you're gonna see a lot of it there. If you want to talk to any of us on the Discord, we're all active on there. We all talk about different things other than just The Last of Us, like games in general and movies. and things that we're excited and looking forward to. And we're all there on the Discord, and we're all there talking about just what we're passionate about. So you can find me there under the Arachknight. And yeah, like other than that, that's pretty much all I've got.
There you go. Well, of course, you can follow me at the KDiaz123 on Twitter, THEKDIAZ123 on Twitter, as well as, of course, the PlayStation Source Twitter. Link below in the description at PS Source Vids, as well as, of course, what Orly was saying, Arachknight was saying, Arachknight Early on the Discord down below in the description. You can follow us there and get onto that channel. Talk about purely whatever you want, as long as it's gaming. I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? You can if you would like to start your own quest for Chelsea, actually don't. Chelsea's mine. All right, but
say psych right now.
Make sure to like the podcast if you enjoyed that, as well as, of course, down below in the description as well, you can go to our Anchor link, where you can find links to our podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Spotify, all the good stuff down below in the description if you wish to listen to this podcast in a podcast format on your phone, at work, etc. So that will do it for us. Thank you all for watching, and as always,
greatness awaits.
I thought you were gonna forget. I was like, man, there was a pregnant pause right there. I don't know if he's gonna nail it.
Gotta keep him waiting.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
See ya.